Good evening and welcome to Sunday Politics on Trust TV, your hub for in-depth analysis of major developments in politics, policy and governance. I'm Hamza Idris. Tonight we delve into the troubling security sector with a reported terrorist attack on a Nigerian immigration service facility in the border town of Kangiwa in Kebbi State, leading to the killing of 4 locals, including a guard. Some analysts are attributing the security breach to the frosty relationship between Nigeria and its neighbors, especially in Niger, under the leadership of President Chani. This coming on the heels of reported successful airstrikes in Zamfara State by forces attached to the Operation Fansanyama that was said to have neutralized scores of bandits commanders loyal to the notorious kingpin Bello Turji, whose whereabouts could not be established after the deadly military onslaught. However, locals in Zurmi are alleging that many of those killed are members of the vigilante groups in the community who had earlier mounted serious resistance against the invading terrorists. And in a major reshuffle, the Nigeria Army Chief of Staff Olufemi Oluyede has also approved the appointment of new general officers commanding, principal staff officers, corps commanders, new commander for the multinational joint task force in what is said to be a strategic move to enhance the Army's capacity to tackle emerging security challenges. And to help us navigate through these topical issues and other developments in the polity is a public affairs analyst and a diplomat, Iliyasu Gadu. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, good evening, viewers. I'm glad to be here. Happy New Year, too.
And of course, you too will have the opportunity to contribute to some of the issues we will raise in the course of the program. But before we commence the conversation, here are some major developments in the polity. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has filed a lawsuit against the government of President Bola Tinubu and Nigeria's 36 state governors over the alleged repressive use of the Cyber Crimes Amendment Act 2024 to criminalize legitimate expression and violate the human rights of Nigerians, including activists, journalists, bloggers, and social media users. The ECOWAS court had in its judgment dated 25th of March 2022 ordered Nigerian authorities to stop using Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act 2015 to prosecute anyone on the grounds of insulting or stalking public officials. And elsewhere, the opposition has accused the federal government of failing to explain what happened to the 234 billion released for the aborted national census because it diverted the money allegedly for the 2023 electioneering campaign. Under former President Muhammadu Buhari, the National Population Commission proposed a budget of approximately 800 billion for the 2023 population and housing census. By May 2023, a total of 224 billion had already been disbursed, in addition to 10 billion approved in October 2020 for enumeration area demarcation across 546 local government areas in the country. Well, Iliyasu Gadu, welcome to our program.
You're welcome.
Maybe I will start with the last tidbit, then we'll go up to the major topic of the discussion. I think, can we say the opposition got it right? How can they say that humongous amount was used to prosecute the 2023 election when there were allegations that the Buhari administration did not even support the Tinubu administration to win?
Well, I think it's a very, very germane issue because it calls to question the previous government's determination, or rather, the previous government's touting of itself as being transparent, because what was supposed to be spent on something was allegedly diverted to another thing. That itself, it's almost a criminal offense. It's
but what I'm saying, could that hold water? Because you can see at the climax of the electioneering, even Tinubu was crying that even his own money that he kept, he could not access them from the banks because of the policies put therein by the outgoing Buhari administration. And now opposition are saying maybe Buhari used that money, or Buhari's government, let me put it that way, used that money to prosecute the election of Tinubu.
Yeah, we all know that towards the end of the Buhari administration, there was a lot of, confusing, fiscal, issues.
Monetary policies.
Monetary policies. There was the ongoing, monetary policy attributed to the central bank under Emefiele, to the extent that, there were some sort of attempt to change the policy, the monetary, the money in circulation,
yes,
by taking some measures restricting the money in circulation.
And everyone must go cashless.
Yeah, everyone cashless, so to speak. And it was so confusing, really. There was a lot of people. Money was withdrawn from the system, and people had to go to great lengths to be able to access their own monies, stay in banks and other places. And I remember a lot of Nigerians were groaning about it, and even some ministries and some institutions were crying about not being able to have enough money to finance some of the activities. And of course, and then now to hear that in the midst of all that, we have then this report that money was used to prosecute election. And as you rightly said, even the presidential candidate of the APC was crying foul. And we also heard about the issue of, trying to see how he could...
Meaning we have to fact check even the opposition.
Exactly.
Because sometimes, simply because they don't have something to tout about in a day, they can just throw in to the conversation anything. Which
there's a big question mark really about this claim.
Yeah.
Because, and why now? Because it's something that happened in 1 or 2 years ago, and that should have been the attention of the people and of Nigeria should have been brought to that, so that we can make a forensic check, along with the investigations that was conducted on Emefiele at the time. So ask him questions on, okay, we knew that there was a lot of money was not in circulation, but how come this amount of money from our own investigations have been allocated for this event, which in the beginning was not even supposed to be for this, but for the census, and now this is what's happening. So we needed to have known all this, but why now?
Okay.
And I'd like to believe that it's
that in more details. Yeah, now the second issue, I will actually subsume it to be part of our conversation of today, considering that we are discussing state of the nation. You can see the Chief of Army Staff. He has rejigged the architecture of the army. Look at quite a number of GOCs and all that. And we even have Major General GM Mutkut as the head of the multinational joint task force in Jamena. He's the commander there. Now, what do you think informed this? Can we say it is the security bridges we have witnessing from Sokoto down to Maiduguri?
No, I think
you put all the belt states, Sokoto, Kebbi, you come to part of Katsina, you go to Jigawa, you go to Yobe, you go to Borno. All these states, they share boundary with Niger in a way. Now we have a new, of course, this is Chad. He's going to Chad, but in Maiduguri, there is the Nigerian border, there is the Chadian border, there is also the Cameroon border. Yes. What is your take?
No, I think it should be expected. It's normal. When you have a new chief of the army, you are likely to have a rejigging of the personnel. Some people would be moved because he would want to get his team to work with and to be able to help him achieve his task and targets. So it's normal, it's expected. Again, too, is also part of the ongoing efforts by the military generally to be able to up their game in terms of meeting the challenges, especially the upsurge in terrorism and terrorist activities within these few days, a few weeks that have happened. So part of the task, I believe, is for him to say, look, I need to have my team, I need to have my trusted people on ground so that they'll be able to come together. I'll be able to prosecute this challenge on security along that border, as you rightly observed.
We try to be as neutral as possible here in Daily Trust. That's why, in the tidbit I read, the first one, the military claimed successful air operation around Kengiwa, in the state. But then even the state government and then the locals, they said the people that were, of course, bandits have been killed, loyal to Turji, but then 15, that is the figure we have, of those people that had been killed are members of the civilian JTF, that is vigilante, and then local community people. What is your take on this? Can we say, because Kebbi also shares border
with Niger.
With Niger, can we say President of Niger, Tiani, is right when he said Nigeria is harboring some of these terrorists, Lakurawa and all that, deliberately not fighting them because Nigeria wants his country to go down?
I think we have to, this calls for a forensic assessment. We need to be able to assess the claims by the military over what it claims are its successes. I'm not doubting the military, but
just the way we are also not doubting.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, we have had situations where the military come out with claims of doing this, achieving this and all that, and we also hear claims from the people of those areas saying, look, what did happen was not this, or it happened this way or that way. So, I mean, there's that gap there, and we need to be able to say, look, there has to be independent assessment. We cannot be prosecuting a war of this nature, of this magnitude, where you have claims right here and there and all that, and where these claims are not being subjected to real assessment by the bodies. The military itself, I know about military operations, there has to be, some of these claims must be investigated, assessed, so as to know whether indeed the military had performed well, whether there are some gaps in their operational abilities, and how these gaps could be remedied. Because it's an ongoing war. And if you do not have this in place, you are likely to continue to be talking to yourself and to be claiming things that are not there, especially when you have claims, counterclaims from people on ground. You remember the other day when there was this bombing in Sokoto,
yes.
And then it was there was a lot of
and it was actually a tough one,
yeah,
for us in the newsroom, because the military, they issued their own statement, but it got to the extent where the governor of Sokoto State, he was there, he participated in the burial of
the victims.
Yeah, the victims, and he said they were actually civilians. But then the military now issued another statement saying, that was the first time I heard of that, it's a secondary blast, that it was the terrorists who hid bombs, in houses belonging to the locals. So by the time they actually carried their operation with precision, now it touched those explosives hid in the community. And even today, the governor of Zamfara State, he also said that the people that were killed, some of them were civilians. So you can see there is maybe a wallowing gap between the military and the civilian authorities.
That's why, in fact, in many military situations, apart from the outfit prosecuting the operations, you also have another outfit assessing the operations itself.
Okay.
And that assessment,
party of sorts.
yes, that assessment is not to find faults, but to be able to see how far you've carried out the operation to the letter, or to how it's been planned at the planning stages, so that you can make corrections and you can observe whether the conduct of your military personnel went according to plans and according to what they call
rule of engagement.
Rule of engagement. Because it's not just a carte blanche to the military to go in and start shooting. There has to be planning. There has to be, planning at different stages and different levels. And all these levels should be subjected to forensic assessment, so that when next you come in for another operation, you've made mistakes, or you've not achieved your targets, or what have you met on ground. Sometimes the best plans you have might not work at the practical stages. So this is where it's important, because when you have an operation that resulted in the death of the lives of the people you are supposed to protect, and there are claims and counterclaims, then of course there has to be some kind of assessment team that will say, look, yes, this happened, it's a mistake, we make corrections there, and tomorrow or maybe the next time we're going to take corrections and do the right thing.
And of course, I also received some footages from the military, showing where they carried out the operation to buttress their claim that not all those that were killed were actually innocent people. But now I want us to discuss the scenario, because Kebbi, as I said, Sokoto, they are all part of the border, and this is where we are having serious issues these days. So where are we not getting it right, and who is telling the truth, who is not telling the truth, especially going by the recent statement by Nigerian President Chiani?
Okay, we should establish one very important fact.
Okay.
And that is that if there is any country in Africa that has a special relationship with Nigeria, it has to be Niger. Because about 80 to 100 million Nigerians across 7 states, even 8 states if you put in Kano, namely,
of course,
if you,
even though it's not contiguous, but the way they are very close.
So if you say 80 million to 100 million Nigerians have direct filial relationship with people of Niger, and that is very, very, very important, because whatever happens across the border in Niger definitely will affect these 8 states. And that is why it's very, very sensitive for Nigeria and Niger to sit down and talk about these issues and not resort to rhetoric. Because when you emphasize rhetoric, then what happens is that some people get animated, unnecessarily animated, and they make a lot of claims, and these claims sometimes are not substantiated, they're not giving substance. And then so that's why you have a lot of problems. And of course, we've had the statement from the Niger leader of the Niger Huta, Abdurrahman Chiani, and to some extent we can say he's talking from the point of view of experience and from point of view of what is available to him. But then what he says has not been subjected to thorough analysis from his side. He made allegations, he made claims that themselves have not been well proven. Of course, yes. I mean, you can expect that a head of state or a leader of a country would make such statements. He may have his own sources, he may have his own information from different, and one of those sources is from captured, Boko Haram and ISWAP terrorists. They may have been subject to a lot of interrogation while in detention. And in any case, again, such information cannot be taken to be 100% true, because it's only what he said. What about, what do you call it now? Statements coming from captured, individuals under interrogation has to be subjected to assessment.
Because it could be under duress.
It will be under duress for people who are under such kind of, detention, would want to say, okay, look, let me just say what I want to say. And in any case, he said it, but that's one side of the story. We need to know the other side of the story. That is why Daily Trust and BBC went around to those places where he said, there was basis going on.
Of course, we did ours, but we thought that the efforts we made shouldn't be enough. Maybe Nigerian government should have come out and say, okay, this is what we have also done to prove Chiani wrong.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right, because the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Irbadu, made a statement condemning the statement by the leader of Niger, and then he asked or challenged media, houses to go and investigate.
And we took the challenge.
Yeah, but again, there should have been a comprehensive report to counter the allegations by the leader of Niger, to the extent to say, look, yes, he made these allegations, but this is what's on ground. This is what is happening, and this is not what happened. So we can, at least Nigerians would say, yes, okay, we've had at least from both sides of the discussion, and then from there we can then begin to assess for ourselves.
Last week we did some reports, especially security breaches in Sokoto, in Katsina, and then in Maiduguri, northern part of Borno. All these are localities that have, share direct border with Niger. Now, people, especially analysts, are trying to create a nexus between these security breaches that we are facing and then the frosty relationship, as I said, with Niger. Can we say that someone is not managing what is happening well, or somebody is actually pressing the button from the backside in order to project Nigeria as a weak country?
Well, I think we need to delve a bit deeper into what we are told and into what we're told about what's happening, especially in those areas, the security breaches, the terrorist activities, and the seemingly endless, insurgency that has gone on now for over 2 decades. We need to be able to, and for me and for a number of people, analysts, we believe that there's much more than what's going on. I think the whole thing, if you look at it, is all about creating an exclusive economic zone for illegal activities in terms of, illegal mining, illegal movement of people, illegal mining in the form of mining of gold, mining of uranium. And this whole area is a vast area.
Rich in those resources.
Rich in those resources. And people are not just going to, engage in those activities just to set up an Islamic state. No, they need to have, some kind of, economic power to be able to do this. And those areas are rich in gold. For the whole of that area from Guinea right up to Chad are treasure trove of gold, diamond, uranium, rare minerals.
But amid poverty.
But amid poverty. And these areas too, unfortunately, are areas that are largely inhospitable, largely inaccessible, and largely, ungoverned. And when you have, and around the world, when you have areas of such wealth, such richness, and the governments that are sort of covering those areas are weak in terms of not being able to get into those areas, what you have, you create a bazaar kind of, where people bring in arms to, especially local people in conjunction with, international adventurists who will come in there, provide arms, and then let the operations go so that they can then scoop as much resources as possible. And then when that happens, it spirals. Because you have to ask yourself, how do these terrorists, how do these people get these sophisticated weapons, including drones, including some of these state-of-the-art, guns, able to even recruit from the locals, provide the money and all that? That is not just about terrorism activities. It's about creating an exclusive economic zones where these, minerals will be mined without the government knowing and without even the government being able to control it. Yeah. It happened in Sierra Leone, by the way, where when there was a breakdown of law and the government could not control those areas where the mining was taking place. You found that, arms were flowing into those areas to people who would be able to control those areas and provide the arms, provide the resources, the diamonds and all that. It's happening in Zaire, or rather, DRC Congo. It happened in Afghanistan. When you have such areas that are so vast, and some of these areas, it's a sort of, a bazaar for non-state actors. Then they can establish control there, establish control of the area, establish control of the people of those areas, recruit people to help them extract and excavate these resources, and then use it to set up some kind of local government where they can continue to what they're doing. And this spirals down to the countries that are around the area. And of course, let's not forget that there was a breakdown of law of order after the overthrow of Gaddafi. So there was a lot of arms that have been in the armory, and those arms have found a way into those places. In addition to some of these non-state actors, scooping these resources and taking them abroad to Europe. And these people usually bring in, low-flying aircrafts that evade radar, that are into those areas, drop in.
So many criminality.
So that's why I said it's an exclusive economic zone.
Some believe that of recent, Niger is looking the other way when maybe these arms and ammunition are heading their way into Nigeria. Could that be true?
No, but you see, the question you have to ask yourself, does the government of Niger even control the country? It's beyond Niamey and some other areas. This is a government that is already looking over its shoulder, trying to find out, because inherently, a military regime is unsustainable. Over a time, there will be cracks within it. And then, of course, the government will be more interested in securing itself, securing its place, and looking for, places where it feels that it's going to get the next trouble. So it's not going to, allocate its military resources in those areas that are prone to, you know, to insurgency, because then it is leaving its flanks open for mostly for infiltration and possibly overthrow. So if these things are coming, if these arms are coming from those parts of
because people are actually saying the security breaches we are witnessing now might not be, you know, out of that assumption, the infiltration of the arms.
I don't think the military regime of Niger would be or would want a situation where it will encourage the infiltration into Nigeria.
But maybe to now justify its claim that that is why they took over. Don't you think nothing is impossible, things like that?
Well, when the military takes over, there will be a lot of claims. We've seen it. It's happened in Nigeria. There will be a lot of claims as to a lot of things. You know, sometimes they say, you know, our hospitals have become consulting clinics. Sometimes they say all kinds of things just to be able to justify where they've struck, where they're in power. But then the reality is, when you get in there, is when you see that, look, what really, you know, resulted in the overthrow of the previous regime is also here with us. And then so the next thing it thinks about is how to consolidate its security around its own government in the places where it thinks it's vulnerable. And those areas that it cannot control, Niger is a very vast country. It's bigger than Nigeria in size. And certain areas, certain parts of Niger are so unreachable. So some of these areas it knows it cannot control, or maybe are in the control of maybe opposition parties or neutral parties, then it doesn't worry itself with those places. What it worries itself is those areas that I can control, and then keep tag of what's happening here, and then leave the others. So when that happens, of course, there'll be people, groups
that will take advantage of
take
that.
advantage.
Now,
of
what
that.
will you say about the claim of this base? Of course, we have discussed it quite a number. But most of the calls, because sometimes we harvest calls, messages to now understand how we should approach a program like this, especially on Sunday, that these security breaches we are witnessing, especially Sokoto, Zamfara, you know, is to justify the claim that at the end of the day, Nigeria will open its door for foreign bases, especially for France, which has been sacked from Niger.
I will take that with a pinch of salt. I mean, there are a lot of things that are happening within this government that are untoward. And we have talked about it, but opening a base or even agreeing to, you know, allow a country to open a base in your country is not a walk in the park. That's the truth about it. There are security guarantees, there are operational guarantees, there are leasing arrangements, and there are, you know, movement and construction of equipment, construction of places where these bases are going to be. And in any case, if we're talking about France coming in here, let's ask ourselves a question. France is already withdrawing, or if I may say, they are being kicked out. But the latest one was Chad, and Senegal and Ivory Coast is following, it's very soon following. Now, if France is withdrawing from these countries that it has had, you know, serious relations with, and traditions with, and cultural relations with, why would it come to Nigeria, where it doesn't have such cultural links? Yes, there could be arrangements, economic arrangements between France and Nigeria. This is understandable because Nigeria is open. It's an open, you know, country. But then, to be able to open up a base in Nigeria with French, if I were somebody in the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs or French intelligence dealing with Africa desk, and I'm asked to assess whether it's, after having left some of these countries under those circumstances, would I want to come to Nigeria? I will not take it. I will say no. I will not recommend it because it's risky enough. The time has come. France knows that the time has come to pack its bags and leave Africa. It will not want to come to a potentially volatile country like Nigeria, where it stands to lose a lot.
But it started to lose a lot within the week. Last week, stories, flew that 30 years moratorium or something like that has been given to France to mine uranium in different parts of the country, especially part of Zamfara, even Sokoto and Nasarawa. In fact, they mentioned even part of North Central. maybe as a diplomat, do you think Nigeria can go all out to now say, okay, you come for 30 years?
No, I think such protocols have to be opened because it's a matter of interest to Nigerians. Don't forget, the president of Nigeria actually on behalf of ECOWAS had the mandate to go into Niger. But Nigerian senators kicked against that based on, based on reactions from Nigerian people, especially people in those areas. Now, it's preposterous under these circumstances for a government to do that. I don't think that is in the offing, or that is, but I know that there's an arrangement.
Could it be the work of the opposition to maybe portray the Tinubu government in bad light? I was one of those who crafted questions for the French ambassador to Nigeria, which he answered and we published in the newspaper. We asked this question, that it's like Tinubu is getting much more closer to France than US or UK or whatever. He said he believes people maybe forget in a hurry, because even Buhari, he gave a number, it's 7 times or thereabout that he visited France. Even Obasanjo, he listed a number of presidents. That cordiality, has been there for a very long time. Tinubu is actually consolidating it.
Yeah, but then for me, I think we should treat all this with a pinch of salt until there's a full disclosure which the government owes the people. I think we should be able to really take these things with a lot of circumspection, because the leader of Niger is actually looking over his shoulders, and he's been paranoid about what's happening, because
meaning he's all out to portray Nigeria in bad light.
In bad light, and that is
simply
unfortunate.
Because maybe Nigeria is.
And then don't forget,
yes.
Don't forget, he has an agreement with the Russians. Did we make any bones about it? As soon as he kicked out the French and the Americans, he made way to go to. New friends with Russians. Did Nigeria, protest against that? We could claim that he is bringing in the Russians to destabilize us or destabilize our country, especially given the fact that the people he's bringing are not actually, mainstream Russian soldiers or military, but the Wagner group, which
and we saw the Russian flag.
Exactly. So we could,
even though the youth,
it's an over-enthusiastic thing about it. So we didn't accuse Niger of bringing the Russians to destabilize Nigeria. What we said was that it was not good. And for me, on these issues, they are very, very sensitive issues, and we must not be too quick to agree to what Chinese is saying, because there's a lot of sensitivity in the relationship between Nigeria and Niger. We should not, go overboard. He has gone overboard because his government is illegal. His government has, overthrown a civilian regime under whatever pretext.
Are you trying to say the euphoria that followed his emergence? We saw some celebrations. I don't know whether it was media stunt or whatever. It has waned now.
That's what I'm saying. What I was saying earlier on was that military regimes, after some time, are not sustainable. The euphoria of coming into power, maybe has waned or is waning, and he's trying to look for new tricks to be able to sustain their presence as a government, which is now under pressure, because it has to survive. It has to provide some of those things, and these things are not forthcoming because the government now has to find sources of sustenance to itself and to the people. And then it's also looking at the fact that maybe some people within the ranks of his government are also trying to outflank him. And then the next thing he's thinking about is, okay, let me, it happens with governments, especially military governments. It happens. He's trying to find a way by which he can distract the world and detract from the internal pressure that is going on against him. And he's making those claims. But I want him to be very, very careful in this, because Nigerians across those 7 states are very sensitive to what's happening. And it's actually uncharitable to Nigeria that Chinese is doing what he's doing, because Nigerian people, especially across those 7 states, stood up and pressured the government to say, look, you shouldn't go in there. They endured the closure of the border just to make sure that, look, yes, we will enjoy the closure of the border, which is quite, very painful to us, but we would not be in favor of attacking, or rather using our base to attack, or rather trying to intervene in Niger. So what we want is for him to understand that, and let us find ways by which we can diplomatically engage, because this cannot be solved by saber rattling.
All right, I will take you on the political perspective to this, but I think it's time to open the telephone line for our viewers to also contribute to the conversation. Now is your time. Call the telephone number displayed on your screen. Go straight to the point. Don't use abusive language. In the studio here is Iliyasu Gadu, a public affairs analyst and a diplomat, putting context to the insecurity, especially along the borders between Nigeria and Niger. Now, what is your take on the political dimension to all this? Some are saying it's all about forcing Tinubu out ahead of 2027. I don't know.
I don't know. It's Tinubu. I don't see how Tinubu measures into this matter. What he does to Nigeria is different from what is going on. This is an international matter. It's a matter that concerns Nigerians and Niger people. It concerns far, far, far bigger things than
So
Tinubu.
most of the decisions he took, they are based on his position as ECOWAS chairman. But before you answer this, let's take our first caller. Hello, welcome to the program. Oh, we lost the caller. Yes, go ahead, Ilyas.
So, I mean, Tinubu has his work cut out for himself. Nigerian people are not happy with him. The economic situation has not, improved. People are groaning under...
But those around Tinubu, they insist that the economy has...
Yeah, that's those around him. How many of them are around him anyway? How many of them? There are a handful of people, but we're talking about millions of Nigerians groaning under his harsh economic policies, and he has come out to say he's not going to change it. So what kind of, what's he going to tell us?
All right, we have another caller. We lost the first one. Hello, welcome to the program. Hello? Okay, but I can't hear him. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, okay. Yes. Welcome to the program. What is the name and you are calling from where?
Yusuf from Newman.
Okay, from Numan, Adamawa State.
Thank you. I'm calling from Newman, Adamawa State.
Yes, you are welcome to the program. Let's have your take.
The capacity is not there. The presidency, I believe, it has no capacity to maintain issues like that.
Please come again. Can you contextualize? I can't get you. Who has no capacity?
Nigeria.
Okay, Nigeria.
Nigeria itself, capability is not here. Talk more of.
Okay. The network is a bit problematic, but I think I got, a line of what he's trying to say, that Nigeria doesn't have capacity to address all of these security challenges. But we brought peace to many countries. Remember ECOMOG and all that?
Yeah, well, the operational guidelines in ECOMOG from here. In ECOMOG, you had a direct engagement order. Go in, pacify these people, make sure you establish peace, enforce peace.
But here is problematic.
Here is problematic.
Because you are fighting maybe your own citizens of sorts.
More or less. And in ECOMOG, you had a lot of free hand to be able to do what you think is necessary at the time and at the place. But here, you have a lot of constraints. You are talking about a fight just across the border.
And could this be the reason for the collateral damages? But we have another caller. You will answer this. Hello? Hello? Sadly, we lost the call. Yes, I said, is it about the reason why we are having some collateral damage? Trying to attack the enemy, but that enemy is embedded in the civil population.
That is one of the difficulties we are likely to face if we go against Niger, and that's why, because when you have a border, very wide border, 7 states, 8 states, at what point are you going to even put the fighting forces, intervention forces? And how are you going to coordinate them? And then what about the locals? How are you going to even get the buy-in of the locals in prosecuting this?
It appears, Iliyasu, as a diplomat, Nigeria is in a difficult situation. Now
Of course it is.
Look at our problem with Chad now. You know, since the killing of Chadian soldiers some weeks ago, you know, we were told that over 20,000 troops were stationed between, you know, Nigeria and Chad border, and this informed why we are having infiltration of Boko Haram fighters who are now in central part of Borno killing people. So what should Nigeria do in this very fluid situation?
Yeah, I think, well, you know, the sort of situation we have with Boko Haram and some of these insurgents is asymmetrical kind of warfare. It's not a warfare in which you have a pitch, you know, engagement, where you have the enemy on the other side, or you know,
clearly defined.
Yes. You're talking about people who can infiltrate, who even lose themselves in the local population, who are living with you, who have safe houses, who can infiltrate. They have more opportunity, more advantage of being within the setup than even the military.
So to some extent, the military could be right when they said sometimes it's very difficult to now go all out to say, okay, we are facing an enemy, and that informs the protracted nature.
Yes, because you see, you know, the Nigerian military.
Okay, we have another caller. Sorry, Iliyasu. Okay, hello, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Welcome.
Good evening, sir. How are you, sir?
We are fine. Who is on the line?
Thank you. I am Abba Alhaji from Damaturu, Yobe State.
Okay, Alhaji from Damaturu. Okay, let's have your take.
Yes. My contribution is, yes, we want this government to concentrate on security.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir, because the security is very important, and
okay.
Yes, the security is very important, and it will be something that the government will be more stable. If any country, if there is no security, so the government will not be safe normal. So this is my contribution.
All right, thank you very much, Alhaji. He's saying security is paramount.
Very, very
important. If there is no security, no any reform will actually
work. Very important, and this government must get its acts together regarding how it conducts its security operations. How security is not just about throwing in battalions on faceless people, so to speak. Security is about, first and foremost, making your people happy with what you're doing, and they will give you all the support, all the this thing. So in this particular case, yes, we are willing to give the government of this country the benefit of the doubt because of what's happening over there. We are quite aware that they are fighting an asymmetrical warfare, in which the enemy is most likely your own brother, your own uncle, your own son. And it's happened in the Boko Haram engagement in this thing. So what we are calling, what I would want Nigerians to understand is, we have to be very careful, and we have to be able to be very, very sensitive to statements like those that are coming from Chiani.
All right.
Because those statements can exacerbate rather than even help the situation.
All right. We have another caller. Welcome to the program. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, we are with you. Welcome to the program. And go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yes, hello? Yes, please, can you reduce the volume of your TV set so that we can hear each other?
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Who is on the line?
This is yes, I greet you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
This is Evangelist Olu Ogunaike calling from Jebodi, Ogun State.
Ogun State. Far.
You see, the security of Nigeria hitherto is in shambles, and it is the onerous responsibility of the federal government and the state government to fight insecurity. What is the essence of the security vote they are receiving without huge amounts being given to them without justifying it? You see, this issue of insecurity, concerning it, the former head of state, Abacha, said, if insecurity persists in a country for 24 hours, the government of that country should be queried. So in this case, what is the government doing? During the time of Buhari, I think he mentioned some people that they know some traditional rulers and others. And even this present administration, which is a continuum of Buhari's administration, has not even prosecuted anyone. The other time, Bello Matawali, the present minister of the State of Defense, is still in power, was accused that he was one of the sponsors
allegedly.
of the nothing was done to Matawali. And why we should not deceive us. The government should prosecute all these people and criminalize insecurity and pass death sentence on anyone who is caught, no matter the position of that person.
All right.
If we are still paying cosmetic leave to fight insecurity, we are sitting on the keg of gunpowder. God bless your station. God bless Nigeria. Evangelist Luke,
thank you. But a point of correction, no evidence against the Minister of State for Defense, who was governor of Zamfara State. So, your Minister of State, for Defense.
Yeah, I think.
But he has made his point.
Yeah, and that point is very, very correct.
So, how do you think a government like that of Nigeria should manage hostile neighbors? Because it's like we are facing hostile neighbors, apart from the aggravated anger because of the economic situation.
Well, I think, to the best of my knowledge, we've not had our situation with. Niger has not gone to this low ebb before.
Okay, it isn't.
No, we've never had any issues.
Okay, before.
We've had even kill. You know, the kind of relationship with Niger has been quite commendable. Now, what we are having today is like, look, the rhetoric has gone up now because of the issues involved within the government and because of Nigeria's desire to try to see about the restoration of democracy.
So we now say it is more of politics.
Yeah, the politics of it. Yeah, the politics of it. Yeah, of course, you cannot rule out, some abusive, statements coming from both sides. But everybody knows that between us and Niger, there can never be a parting of ways because there is a lot involved in the whole thing.
But who is the biggest loser as it stands?
There's no particular. Everybody will lose. The Niger people will lose, Nigeria would lose. Because, as I said, if there is any country in the whole of Africa that Nigeria can claim to have a special relationship with, it is Niger. Because of cultural links, historical links, and all kinds of, filial associations. There is, for instance, in Kebbi, there is the Zabarma people, and there are in Niger. There are the Fulani people in Kebbi, there are in Niger. There is the Kanuri, in Niger, and there are Kanuri.
But in summary, can we say, finally, because we have less than 1 minute to go, can we say politicians are actually cashing in on this to maybe portray Nigeria in bad light, or specifically the Tinubu administration? I don't know.
Yeah, well, you can always rely on politicians to take advantage of what's happening, to be able to cash in and do a lot of, situate themselves and take advantage.
But the people, what they need is peace. What do you think Tinubu should do to actually get the buy-in of people in all these border communities, so that at the end of the day, we'll solve this problem? People should go back to their farms.
Yes, as Mr. Ogunaike has said, there has to be a genuine attempt by government to identify from within those that are assisting, undermining the government's policies. Because it's no use when you have some of the best security people, best trained people going into this place, and then at the end of the day, somebody somewhere is sabotaging it. There has to be some effort. And then there has to be diplomatic engagements.
Okay.
This is very, very important. If this is not the kind of relationship that you live for it to become, to escalate and get to a point where you are not on talking, you must continue to engage with the Niger. And we must also get we must be able to assure the ruler of Niger that what we want is for the best interest of Niger. We are not hostile. We will not do things that will, and we have told him, and it will not happen.
All right.
So he should calm down, Sit down and let's have a talk.
Thank you.
And Nigeria has extended that, you know, to him.
All
The
right.
government, at least to its credit, has done that. So let him take the olive branch and let's sit down and talk.
All right, thank you very much, Iliyasu Gadu, public affairs analyst and diplomat, for your informed perspective on these myriad of issues we raised today. And viewers, that's a wrap on today's package. We hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Sunday Politics every weekend, and then Daily Politics, of course, which will continue tomorrow with interesting package. Bye-bye for now. I am Hamza Idris.